Hello and welcome to today's video. Thank you so much for joining. We've got a handful of people here. I'm really excited about that. So as you can see today, I'm in my office, my bedroom, because it is super cold out. We are in the negative temperatures right now. I think we had a high of 0 for today. So I apologize that I can't take you guys out into the pasture and show you cool things with the horses, but it's what it is today. So if somebody could tell me how my audio is, I just want to make sure that you guys can hear me okay. And that'd be great. Hi, Barbara. Hi, Michaela. Hi, Kevin, Bill, Colton, Jim. Thanks for joining, guys. It's so awesome. So this is, if you're watching this after the fact, this is a live stream video. So I'm going to be answering a lot of questions. If you're confused as to kind of what's going on, all you have to do is click on the little chat button below the video and you'll be able to see what everybody's saying during this video. I know some people get really confused, so it's just a way to kind of prevent all that. Okay, good. I'm glad my audio is good. Thank you, guys. All right, so the topic of today's video, this is one of my #1 things I hear from people is how to become a better rider. Happens, oh gosh, almost daily, whether it be in my own barn or on YouTube, or I see on Facebook, different groups that I'm in, somebody's asking how to be a better rider. So today I am going to reveal the secret as to how to become a better rider. So, okay. All right. So one of my quotes that I absolutely love, it's not my quote. What I do all the time is I always have a quote of some sort written on my bathroom mirror. And it's something that I look at every single day. And I change it up every now and again. My last one that was up for a very long time, I want to say over a year, was surround yourself with people who want you to succeed. And I believe that that is so true in so many aspects, and it will help you become a better rider too, because if you surround yourself with people who are supportive and want to see you do your best, you're going to become a better rider, okay? The quote that I have up right now, though, is a habit must be established before it can be improved. And I think that is something that people really don't understand. You have to do something enough in order to improve it. So a lot of times we'll have lessons going on, and maybe more advanced riders will see a beginner rider and they're like, oh, well, what about, they're not paying attention to their hands, or they're not paying attention to their heels being down, or they're doing this or they're doing that. And I think this is why I like working with kids so much, is that kids don't really obsess over things, okay? So basically, when I hear a rider talking about all that, I always say, you know what? We just need to get some practice time in first. We need to get things going first before we can work on improving every little thing. Now, my sun has changed and it's going to start to come in my window here. So I'm going to kind of adjust my lighting a little bit so you guys aren't getting glares off of me. Missy, you're at the TACK shop. That's a great place to be watching videos from. So hi, Tracy. Hi, Inspired Clips. Thanks for joining today. Hi, Debbie. So such an important thing, though. And I feel like I hear so often, oh, the horse isn't listening. Riders are making excuses for why they're not able to do something right. They make an excuse and blame it on the horse, okay? First of all, it's never the horse's fault. It's always the rider. The rider needs to know how to handle that horse in every situation, know how to give that horse guidance and direct them. Very, very important. Hi, Rainey. Hi, Emily. Hi, Jessica. Hi, Anna. Thanks for joining. So I'm going to give you an example of my own struggle, okay? And this has nothing to do with riding per se, but it really does. I've been working very hard the last almost year at my own physical fitness. And I want to be the best rider that I possibly can be. So for me, I need to be strong. I want to be very fit. I want to be strong, and I want to have, the best balance I possibly can. So there's a lot of different things that I've been doing to try to help myself with that. Something that I feel is really important is yoga. It's very good for the body, the mind, your flexibility, your balance, everything. Helps prevent injuries. It's so good in so many ways. But something else that I've been doing, I I was very inconsistent. So I was, doing my exercises this day, and then the next day I'd be like, I don't really feel like it. And so I would skip it. And then I just end up skipping too many days, and then it turns into a bad habit of not doing these good habits. Okay. So I'm going to give you a good example. A few months ago, I would say late fall, I was really, really weak at doing push-ups. And that was something that I felt I needed to improve, was my arm strength. For anybody that owns a farm, you understand lifting hay bales, how much work it can be. And every single year, I'm so sore after we do hay because, you're tweaking different parts of your body, and parts that are not strong are really going to take a lot of gruff. So for me, I'm like, I'm going to work really hard to be strong this year. I'm not worried about my weight or anything like that. I just want to be strong. And I focused on it. And I can honestly say this year, I did all of our hay. We get over 3,000 bales of hay a year. We did all of our hay within, a short period of time, matter of a month or two. And I wasn't sore at all from doing hay this year, but it's because of the work that I put into my body before. So usually it takes me 2 months just to heal from doing all the hay, where this year I didn't have to worry about that. I was strong enough to do the job. But I'll back up. So early fall, I was trying to do push-ups. I could do like 1.5 push-ups. And I mean like regular push-ups. And I was so frustrated with myself because I'm like, why can't I do a push-up? Like, I am active. I'm outside every day. I run, I do yoga, I do all these things. Why can't I do push-ups? And it really bothered me. And so I kept working at it. I'm like, well, if I can't do a regular push-up, I will do the girly style push-ups, okay, where you go down on your knees and do push-ups that way. So I started doing that, and I'm like, I'm going to do 100 of these every single day. And I just kind of kept at it. And then all of a sudden I'm like, oh, I can do 3 regular push-ups. And then all of a sudden I can do 5 regular push-ups, and then 10 regular push-ups. And now I do 100 regular push-ups every single day. And I look at how it didn't take me long. Hi, Jen. Thanks for joining. It didn't take me long to get to that point. I just needed to put the time in. Perseverance, okay? You need to be patient with yourself. You need to understand that you can't just be something right now, okay? It takes time to get to that point. And that's a problem a lot of riders have, is they think that they should just be awesome at it all of a sudden. But I look at me, a relatively strong, active person can't do push-ups. And that bothered me. So instead of giving up on it, I'm like, well, I'll just do what I can, and I'll just keep building on that. And now I crank out my 100 push-ups a day, and I do it, I scatter it out throughout the day, and I do 20 at a time. When you break it down into little bits, it becomes so much easier. So do you guys see where I'm going here? So like I said, I hear all the time, my horse won't listen. I can't do this. I should know this. I've been riding for 30 years. I should know this. Or I used to know this, and then I forgot because I didn't ride. There's all these things that people, like, they make up all these excuses. I hear it all the time. I wish I could charge people $1 for every time they made an excuse, because I would be rich off of that. But so, you do a run every day, Rainey. That's absolutely awesome. And lifting weights, that's so good for you. Here, I got sunshine coming in on my face again. There, keeps changing. It's nice to see the sun, though, with it being so darn cold out. I'm happy about that. So now I want you to think about this. Okay, so I just told you my push-up struggle. And I've been like, January 1st rolled around, and I'm like, I'm going to do it every single day. Because I was doing it, a few days a week. I was consistent doing it a few days a week, but I'm like, I want this every single day. So I figure if I just stick with my push-ups and develop this habit, this very healthy habit of doing these every single day, I can incorporate other things in there. So now I've incorporated, I do what's called a Russian twist. It's a type of sit-up if you're unfamiliar. So I do my push-ups and my Russian twist every single day, 100 of each. And it's just Really, really helpful. And I write it down. I keep track of this because then I hold myself accountable. Now, if this is something that you wanted to do, you can have an accountability partner, and it can be for anything. So say that you just want to ride your horse more often. Okay. Um, get a buddy, have a friend who, and if they don't have a horse, just have somebody who's willing to come over and hang out with you while you ride your horse or work with your horse. Because that's something that I see so often. I'm like, okay, you're really wanting to improve your skills, but you don't ride often enough. You can't really improve if you don't do it. So that's, I feel, the most important thing is just being able to stick with it. It's okay that you look like a fish flopping out of water. It's all right. You're not, this is not forever that you're like that. And we all need to take all those baby steps to get to where we want to be. You're not just going to be there overnight. I'm going to read a couple of these comments here. That's awesome, Jessica. Jessica says that today she had a riding lesson on her horse, and her riding instructor did a new exercise where she had to make him walk away from the instructor, and she always had a struggle but never gave up. That's exactly it. So perseverance. You need to just keep at it. Whatever it is, don't give up. And that's, to me, the hardest people to work with are the people who are quitters. So if you're willing to struggle through something, it is so much easier to learn it, and it's so much easier for the teacher too. And that's something that I'm always really proud of. I used to be a terrible, terrible, terrible student in all aspects. Absolutely. I was so hard on myself. I thought that I should just know how to do things. I was a terrible student in school. I was, I didn't have many riding lessons. I was 10 before I took any lessons, but my mom taught me, which was, because I grew up with horses from the day I was born. So it's even harder to have your mom teach you because, of course, kids don't think that their parents actually know anything. And having my own kids that I'm teaching to ride, I totally see it. And I feel bad for my mom and the fact that she had to put up with me not listening to her for so long. So, but it's just, once I learned that, oh, maybe it's me that needs to improve, not the horse. Maybe it's my problem, not their problem. And I started really focusing on me and diving into everything I could. I spent a period of time where I watched every training video, every different person you can think of. I'm not even going to name all the trainers' names because I don't recommend most of them. But I dove into everything I could. I didn't have an instructor or a trainer to work with locally. I'm kind of like, our community is really small, and I didn't even know where to turn. And when I was a kid, we didn't have the internet to turn to learn on YouTube or anything like that. So I was kind of on my own. But once I got it into my head that you can do this, you need to learn how to learn. That was really, really important for me. And it was a huge breakthrough. So, but it's like, over the years, I have learned so many things and then realized I had to unlearn those things and learn things a different way. And that's all just part of the process. I look at my students from, 15 to 20 years ago. I've been doing what I do for a very long time. I started teaching when I was 12 to neighborhood kids. So I've been giving lessons for a long time. But so the riders that I was teaching when I was in my early 20s, I look at them now even ride and I'm like, oh yeah, I used to teach it that way. But that's how they learned. And then, so the riders that I have right now are learning totally different things than I may have taught my riders 15, 20 years ago. I know for sure. And I also look at my horses. Okay. So my oldest horses, I say this all the time, my oldest horses are the worst trained. And sure, they have the most time on them, but I did things differently when I trained them versus the horses that are younger that I'm training now. So with the older horses that I have, I had to go through, as I learn, I have to go back and I have to correct things, basically unteach them to them, and then teach them new ways of doing things. So it's confusing for the horse too, but it's all a progression. It's all part of riding. Okay, so, oh, Jim, that's a good goal for me. I'm gonna give it a try. Now you've you've just challenged me, so I'm gonna try that. He said he could do 100 one-hander push-ups, switching hands with each one when he was in ranger training over 50 years ago. So that's pretty impressive. And Rainey, you go for a half mile down your driveway every single day. That's fabulous. It's so good for us. It's so good to do that. But so my secret to becoming a better rider, there's no secret. Everybody thinks that there's a secret. There's this magic recipe for becoming a good rider, a better rider, I mean. And there's not. There's absolutely not. It all lies within you and how much time you're willing to dedicate and how open you are to learning new things. So I also hear from a lot of people, well, this is how we did it 50 years ago. Well, that's okay. That's how you did it 50 years ago, but things have changed. Um, things change and you have to go with that. Okay. You've got to continue to learn and grow regardless of your age. I did things completely different when I was 20 than I do at 40. So see you later, Bill. Thanks for joining. Enjoy your sleigh ride. So I can't stress it enough. And this is the topic that I repeat myself the most with. I'm constantly repeating myself on this topic. So I'm telling you right now, everybody that's watching right now, I'm telling you, you are the only one who can make a change in your riding. And you need to be open to learning new things. Okay. Don't blame your horse. It is absolutely not the horse's fault. When you have a horse that runs over top of you or pulls back or bucks you off or anything, it is not the horse's fault. We need to back up and find where those holes are in either your training or the horse's training and just fill those in. Not getting upset about any of this. We need to just be patient, have perseverance, and move forward. Okay. I was asked just yesterday, I'm always watching out my window. I can see from my office. I can see everything that goes on at the barn. And I see things and I'll text the girls and I'm like, hey, next time that this horse does that, try doing this instead. And this is why they did that. So, and I'm actually going to use this as an example because I think it's really, really good. So one of the girls was putting a horse out and the horses know that they get grain before they go back out to the pasture. And sometimes they get their grain and then they're like, well, but I want more grain. I don't want to go back in the pasture. I want more grain. Or sometimes, some of the horses, they know that, well, there's work going on in the arena and I don't really want to work. I just kind of want to stand here and eat hay. So I don't want to move. So the horses will just plant their feet. Okay. They just stop and it catches people off guard. So even if somebody's just leading a horse around in the arena and that horse stops, riders will look at them or handlers will look at them like, well, why'd they stop? What are they doing? And they immediately give that horse a release and pressure on the rope. Well, what that teaches the horse is you stop your feet, you get a release and pressure. Okay. Now, the big thing is we don't ever want to be pulling our horses when we're leading with them. We should be walking together, no different than you'd be walking with another person. Okay. There shouldn't be pressure to the horse when being led. But if the horse stops, pressure should be applied to let the horse know that we need to move forward. And that pressure needs to remain until the horse moves its feet. And then that horse walking forward releases its own pressure. Okay. Does that make sense? So yesterday I'm watching and this horse, Annabelle, she stops on her way to the pasture. So I messaged the gal and because I watched her for a couple minutes and she wasn't really sure what to do. And so she turned and she kind of went back to kind of shoo the horse's butt forward. But she released that pressure on the rope. So I just texted her and I said, next time that happens, hold the pressure until the horse walks forward. And if you need to, you step off to the side to just kind of change the angle. Because a lot of times the horse will just kind of, it kind of takes them off balance a little bit and moves them the other way, and that'll work. And if I have to, I'll go right in a circle, right around them if I have to get them to move, but I will not release pressure until my horse walks forward. So that's where people have a lot of problems with trailer loading, is they go to walk up to the trailer and the horse stops, and then the person stops. They're like, why'd you stop? And so they release the pressure. The horse automatically is like, oh, that's how I don't go in the trailer, is I just stop. And it turns into like this huge battle where, butt ropes are getting used and whips and all these different things to force this horse into the trailer, where it's like, well, the handler just taught the horse to stop. Plain and simple, where if they had just kept that steady pressure applied, or applied pressure when that horse stopped its feet, the horse would eventually come forward, and then you release pressure, and that's how they learn. So anyway, but the gal yesterday, she's like, well, is there anything else that I should know? And I love questions. I love it. When somebody asks me something like that, I love it, because it tells me it's a person who is eager to learn. They don't want to make mistakes. They want to know everything and absorb it like a sponge. But when you're young, when you're 10 years old, it is impossible for you to know everything. It is impossible for me to know everything. It is impossible for somebody who is 100 years old and worked with horses their entire life to know everything. It's impossible. We always continue to learn. So my response was, oh gosh, I have a million things to teach you, but just focus on, don't release until it's correct. So, and that's a really big thing, but I just love that. But that was a really good example yesterday, and it kind of made me think about this kind of stuff, and I've been thinking about it a lot more. So Shaz, you're asking, how would you get a horse into a trailer in an emergency situation? You had terrible fires in Australia a year ago, and this was a problem trying to save them. Oh, that is, that's really tricky. My best advice, honestly, is don't wait until there's an emergency. So, and that happens often. People are like, oh, well, they go to just a horse show. People just go to a horse show. The horse loads right up in the trailer to go to the horse show. And then they're ridden all day. And then, the horse doesn't want to get in the trailer at the end of the day. Well, and then you ask them, well, how often do you load them? Oh, well, we came to this horse show last year, so that horse has only been in the trailer twice in the last 2 years. And so, no, my horses are loaded up a lot. Sometimes they get loaded up in the trailer just to eat. I just put them in the trailer just for an hour or so, let them eat, hang out, and then put them back in the pasture. So that's a really hard thing, because a lot of people just don't handle them. They just don't handle their horses. Like right now, I have Sally, who I have not trailered in 2 years, the mule. And it took 2 days for them to get her to my house, to get her in a trailer to my house. So I've not worked on trailer loading her at all. So if I was in an emergency situation, I would just go to load her like I would every other horse, and I would not make any kind of a big deal out of it. But she would more than likely be the last one to get put in the trailer, because I know that I could load all the other ones very efficiently. So I'm not gonna spend all my time on the one that could be problematic, and then, risk not being able to save all these other ones. So that's kind of how I would look at it. But so important just to try to practice that kind of stuff and teach your horses to lead properly. The number one reason why people have problems with most things with their horses is because they don't even lead properly. When your horse does not give to pressure, they're not going to tie properly. They're not going to get in a trailer. They're not going to lead right. They're not going to do any of that. So I'm going to mention what Jim is kind of saying, is that to stay calm in the midst of all the chaos. And you shouldn't have nearly the problems. But the thing is a lot of people, when they are in a situation where they're frustrated, they need to get that horse in the trailer, they don't act normal. The human gets very stressed and is just frustrated and trying to do everything that they can to get the horse in there. And then the horse is like, you're scary. I'm not going in there. So, we got to think about that too. It's really, really important to kind of keep your head on straight when doing that kind of stuff. So you're welcome, Shaz. Thanks for asking. what else was I going to say about, I had a thought that kind of left my mind. See you later, Michaela. Thanks for joining. So I got my notes here. So many people ask me, I take lessons. I have 2 instructors that come to my barn from, we're in Upper Michigan, and they come from Lower Michigan and give lessons. And we do dressage and jumping. We bring them in. And then I travel to clinics. I'm going to work with a new trainer this summer, and I'm going to possibly attend a few clinics. Typically, I do 4 clinics a year where I go and I ride with either Buck Brannaman or Lee Smith or Barb Gerbitz, whoever it is that I can get in with that year. And people say to me, they're like, "You take lessons?" Well, darn straight I take lessons. I don't know everything. There's no possible way to know everything with horses. And I think that's where a lot of people have problems, is they just assume, well, I've been riding for 30 years. Why do I need to take lessons? Well, because there's things that you don't know. And it's fine. If you're happy just doing what you're doing, if you're trail riding and that's all you want to do is go out and trail ride, you never have any problems, you're on the same horse, you're just doing your thing, fine. But say you get a new horse and that horse suddenly maybe doesn't understand what you want. Your other horse knew exactly what you wanted because you guys, stuck to a routine for many, many years. But suddenly you got a new horse now that doesn't understand what you're looking for, and you get very frustrated. And so you're like, well, I'll just try a bigger bit. It's got to be the bit. Well, now you just added a whole new level of confusion to your horse by adding a bigger bit. And then you think, well, maybe I just need a whip. That'll get them to go. Or I need to put spurs on. Again, there's frustration there too. What the rider always seems to, in many, many situations, the riders always seem to think, well, it's got to be the horse. It's not me. I haven't had problems in 20 years riding my one horse. So it's got to be this horse. There's something wrong with this horse. So I'll give it a bigger bit. I'll use whip. I'll use spurs. I'll do all this stuff because, it's got to be the horse. But they don't sit and think and ponder that maybe it's their lack of skills with that particular horse. I talk about this kind of stuff all the time when people are looking at shopping for horses. You have to shop for a horse that is the level that you are, or even a higher level than you are. Okay. So if you're a beginner rider, you need to go with an advanced horse that can teach you. And the better rider that you are, the least experienced horse you can go with. Okay. Or lesser experienced horse you can go with. Does that make sense? So the more you know, the more your options are open for different horses. So like in my barn with my program, I want, the people that are leasing my horses and people that are taking lessons, I want them to ride as many different horses as possible because it's going to be better for them. If a rider, for instance, wants to stick with the same horse every single time, then I end up with problems because they're like, well, they understand something on this one horse, but they don't understand this other horse. So, and maybe that's not very fun for them. So they only want to stick to this horse. So I try to mix it up a lot because every horse is going to teach you something different. So we're just taking all of these tools, all of our horsemanship tools, and putting it in our horsemanship toolbox for a later date. So like I'm working with a lot of kids. I'm teaching these kids how to start horses. I'm teaching them, I'm not putting them on horses that are not trained by any means, but I'm explaining the process to them. Every time that I'm in my arena, I see it as an opportunity to learn something. So if there's somebody in there, I'm teaching, and I explain what I'm doing, why I'm doing it, what the horse is probably thinking about it, and why the horse is acting the way they are, because I want them to be open to that. I want them to be open-minded enough to think, okay, what's going on here besides Brandy just moving this horse around in circles, or whatever. So, Shaz, that's exactly it. Horses are like little kids and they're individuals, and one size does not fit all. And that is so correct. And their horses are as unique as people are. So I think that's really important. Hi, Megan. Thanks for joining. That's awesome. So, let's see. What else am I missing here? I'm sorry if I missed any questions. But if you have any questions, please feel free to leave them there. I'll look when I can and see if I can answer your questions for you. So, let's see. So my trainer, I don't think I said this part yet, but my trainers, the biggest compliment that I feel I can receive from one of my trainers is, Brandy, you are fun to teach, or you're easy to teach, or I enjoy teaching you. Those are all things that, gosh, I have really, like, when I hear those things, I'm like, oh, that's wonderful. I want to be a good student so bad, because if I am open to what they are telling me, and I am humble enough to realize that I'm not perfect at all, and I have things that I need to improve so badly. And that's what I'm seeking out. I'm like, oh, I really want to improve this. It's the same way, like I said, with my push-ups. I'm like, gosh, I really don't, after becoming a mom, there's like this skin here that just wasn't there before. That's like different. And I'm like, I want to improve that right there. I want to improve that. How do I do that? And I'm like, I'm going to do push-ups. And so I focus on that until I'm happy with how that has turned out, or at least I've improved it. And that's how I am with my riding. I'm like, okay, my left leg just doesn't stay where it belongs. I need to work on that. And I'm not just like stressing and focusing on that, but when I ride, I'm aware of it. And I'm trying to always bring that leg back. And I didn't even realize it was an issue until, I had an injury, so I knew that there was something going on, but I didn't realize I was sitting weird until I rode on, I went to Canada a couple of years ago, and I rode on a horse simulator. So basically a robot horse. And it was the coolest experience ever. If you ever get the opportunity to do that, man, you will learn so much about yourself and how you sit on a horse. But in that situation, I was like, and I have a video on that too. I think it's under my lessons playlist. So all of my videos are put into playlists so they can be easily found, because I'd like to refer back to a lot of them frequently. So, but check that out. It's really a fun video, and it was such a cool experience. But to just know that, wow, my left leg was way forward, and it was my hip, it was everything. So I'm like, well, no wonder why my horse has problems with leads sometimes, or maybe I'm causing this problem. And it's really interesting. And the more horses you ride too, the more you realize that, oh, this horse does this, so does that one when I'm riding them. What's the common denominator? Could it be me? So I think that's really, really important to see those things. So like when I switch from a few of my different horses, I'm like, oh, wow, they're better on the right side than they are on the left side. I wonder why. Probably because I am better on the right side than I am on the left side. So I need to focus on improving my left side more. So that's really fun to do. So I'm looking at yeah, exactly, Beck. It's so fun I love that very much. Being a good student is it's so rewarding. And Jim, I'm going to read your comment too. He said, if something is wrong, fix it now, but train yourself not to worry. Worry fixes nothing. Oh, that's a good one. Jim, will you do me a favor and text me that? That'd be really great. I would like to say that. Thank you. That's a good one. Megan, yes, exactly. You find out how much you get in your horse's way with so many different things that you do. That's just it. So, but I feel like if I can just focus on the now and enjoy what you're doing. Gosh, I used to get so frustrated, and I would drill my horses. I would drill them so bad. And then it makes me just feel like, oh God, I suck. Because I was so, it felt right at the time, but it was so wrong. Like imagine being drilled, something that you don't understand, and you're being drilled and drilled and drilled and drilled the same way. Okay. Say you really don't get this math problem. Okay. But your teacher is just explaining the same things over and over again, but is not helping you to understand it, but they're just drilling it. And, or you finally get it and then you have to do it again and again and again and again and again. Like, I have learned how bad that is. It makes horses very sour and they don't enjoy their job then. But if you can introduce something to a horse in a manner where, let's take backing up, for instance. Backing up is a problem. People have problems with backing up often. But so you want your horse to back up nicely. Well, the first thing I do is I shift my weight. Okay. I shift my weight back and then I take my legs off my horse. So I open them, not in a tense manner. They just open up off my horse. And that weight shift back tells my horse we're backing up. But say that they're just standing there. They didn't get the memo, okay? They don't understand, or they're green. They just don't know what you want, or they're ridden by 200 kids and they are bounced around on and pulled on and everything, and they're not just going to get it. So, but when I do those two things first, I shift my weight back. That's telling my horse we're going back. The only time I'm going to sit that way is when we back up. And then my legs are going to come off my horse. And then I will take a hold with my reins if I need to. But when I take a hold with my reins, the moment my horse goes to shift its weight back, and I'm talking just shift, not move a foot, just shifting, I give them a little release in the reins. Okay. And then I go to pick them up again. And maybe this time the horse kind of hustles a foot back a little bit. Oh, you give a release before they even pick that foot up. You give them a release. Let them know, yes, that's what I'm looking for. We want to build confidence in the horse that they're doing the right thing. But a lot of people, what I see is they get on the horse and they just go ahead and take a hold. Thanks, Jim. I appreciate it. They take a hold of the horse and they want to just pull him backwards. They gave the horse no warning whatsoever. It's just like, it's frustrating for the horse. They need to know what's going on. And a horse can feel you shift your weight. So being able to be more patient with the horse is going to set you up for so much success. It's way, way better. So much talking. I'm getting dry here. Who else drinks out of a mason jar? Katie, thank you so much. That's really kind of you for saying that. Beck, thanks for mentioning the name of that video. Let's see here. If you tell someone 1,000 times and they still are not getting it right, why is not learning the lesson? Why are they not learning the lesson? Exactly. It's in how it's presented. And not everybody is going to learn it the exact same way. So even with, me working with so many horses, I need to adjust my presentation differently depending on the horse. So in my little horsemanship toolbox, I've got all these different ways that I can ask a horse to do this or do that or do that. And that will help them understand, or like, oh, they reacted this way. This is what I'm going to do to help prevent that. But it's the same thing with me teaching riders. I primarily, in my barn, now with COVID, I haven't been teaching. I got a couple of instructors in my barn that are teaching. But when I do teach, I teach mostly kids, simply because I believe, parents are willing to do things for their kids, to get them out, to experience stuff, learn new things, whatever. But adults don't usually spend the time on themselves. They've got other things to do. So adults don't usually take the time to come out and learn and take lessons when they don't have their own horse. It's just not something that happens very often. But now with COVID, holy cow, I have seen a huge increase in adults taking lessons. And I think it's just like a good mental health thing. So that's been really great. But anyway, so with my riders, which are mostly kids, like I said, I've got, and teaching kids is a little different than teaching adults, because kids don't have any preconceived notions of things. And adults have this idea of, well, this is how I should be. This is how I need to look. How am I, how is this? How is that? Like, adults are really hard to teach because they're so stuck on things. And it's really hard for them to accept that they aren't doing something correctly and just need to learn how to do it. Where kids, you're like, hey, that's, don't do it that way, do it this way. They're like, okay. And they just move on. Like, but adults will dwell over, oh my gosh, I can't believe that my heels look like that. I can't believe that I was sitting like that. Oh, I'm so bad for the horse. And like, oh, it's so hard to work with adults because y'all are so much work. But so just relax, try to be a good student. Yeah, there's such, like Beck says, there's such a wide variety of teaching. So, with teaching, I'm going to say kids, especially, some of them, like I may be able to say something point blank to someone, be like, don't do this. This is why, move on. And they're like, okay, got it. But that might be a little bit too much, for somebody who's a little more sensitive. Hey, let's try it this way instead, because, it just really depends on the rider and how they're going to handle things. But horses are the same way. Some horses are really sensitive. And if you approach one horse, say you've got a horse that's a little bit duller and, not sensitive to things, kind of whatever. And you might be able to just go ahead and throw that saddle pad up on that horse's back first try. You don't need to take all the steps of like starting out really small. You can just throw that saddle pad up on their back. But a horse that's really sensitive to things, we need to start with our lead rope. And then maybe we just put the saddle pad against the horse's side. We can't just go and throw it up on their back right away, because they're going to jump straight in the air, kick out, and land on top of us. So where the horse is a little duller, like not, and I don't want to say dull, just the horse is not fazed by as many things. So it's the same thing. You've got the kids that just get so hurt and cry over the littlest thing. And then you've got the kids that are like, okay, cool. Like I shouldn't do that anymore. I move on. And horses are so the same. Raven Star, you said you'd love to learn how to ride, but there aren't any barns super close to you. Make it a vacation. So, like for me, when I go, so I'm gonna use what you said is exactly what I do. I don't learn to ride where I am. Sure, I have access to horses every single day. I own, I have a whole pile of horses, and I can ride every single day. But I'm doing what I already know. When I learn, I go elsewhere. So say you are going to go on a trip somewhere, even if it's just for a weekend with a girlfriend, whatever. Find a stable to go to. Like I have people that come, and when they vacation to my area, they come and take lessons. And that's the only time they ever ride. I have one girl from Minnesota. I'll use her as an example. She comes and stays with her grandparents for like 2 weeks in the summers. That's it. And gosh, she's been coming for, I think she's 15. I don't remember how old she is. Anyway, she's been coming here for probably 6 or so years. And the only time she ever rides a horse is when she comes to my barn. And she's a fabulous rider, absolutely fabulous. And that's the only time she gets to ride, but she learns, she's learning. So it's the same thing I do. I say, I need to learn some new things. Well, I have to go elsewhere to get that. So don't use it as you don't have anybody near you. Just think about it and be like, okay, I want to learn basic how to ride. Find a good barn that you can go to and that you can ride at. So don't worry about that. You don't need to be able to ride year round. So, or even if you just go ride horses on a beach somewhere, do that too. So I've done that as well. I went to Hawaii and had to ride a horse while I was there. I try to ride every single state that I go to. I try to ride a horse. It's kind of like a bucket list thing. I want to ride in all 50 states at some, before I die. So, but when I rode in Hawaii, I think it was like $500, but it was the coolest experience ever. I'm so glad I did it. It was totally worth every penny. And it was 5 years ago. But, so Shaz, you're asking if I'm still considering virtual lessons. Yes, I am. I just can't really figure out how to fit that into my time. So I'm trying to just get some things uploaded to YouTube even, and I'm struggling with that. So yes, I would love to. I think that's a great thing to future, yes, I'm definitely thinking about that. What I'm doing on my member page right now, basically is kind of down that line. I've got a video that I'm editing right now to post to my members of one of the gals at my barn. So basically what she did is she sent me little video clips, like little 2-minute video clips of everything. And hi, Michaela, glad you're back. She sent me little video clips of certain things that she's working on. And I'm putting it together in I think it'll make like a 15-minute video by the time I'm done with it. So I'm taking parts of her video and I'm making them in slow motion so I can explain what she's doing and what I would do differently. So it's basically like a lesson, and I'm just doing this as part of the channel. So that's something to think about too. After I get a couple of these uploaded from gals from my barn, then I probably will open it up to anybody that is a member of my channel. If you're not familiar with what memberships are, it is it's right on my page. There's a join button next to the subscribe button, I believe. And if you don't see it on, if you use your phone, you might not see it there. You'd have to use a computer. Certain countries, it's not available yet. But I think it'll be a really cool way to be able to work with people in different areas. So after I get a few of these going, I will open that up to all channel members, and there won't be a fee for it. It will just be uploaded to that. So anyway, that's kind of my spiel on that. So if you're interested in becoming a member, I do a weekly live stream. So like we have one at 8 o'clock tonight, and the topic is going to be the most disgusting thing that's ever happened to me with horses. Grossest story ever. And I can't believe that I am actually going to share it publicly. So that is the topic for tonight's video. But with the member section of the channel, I also post training videos, more detailed stuff that really, like, the general public may not be into the real detailed training. So that's all on there, and I think it's $6.99 a month. So so if you're interested in that, or if you have questions, let me know. Let's see. Okay, and then I had a question that somebody had asked. I'm going to pull it up real quick. I forgot to pull this up in advance, but I would have had to. Let's see here. On my channel, I asked if anybody had any questions that I could go over. So, a question that Susie had asked is, will you do healing therapy sessions for those with depression issues, using the herd to heal clients in the future? Just a thought. And actually, yes, yes, I've been doing that for years. I have, I guess I don't advertise that at all, but I've had a lot of people with PTSD, a lot of different things, and that have come out just to be around the horses. I had one gal, oh gosh, I loved this so much. She came out twice. Her name was Sue, and she came from a nursing home. And she had told the gals at the home where she was at that her last wish was to be able to bury her nose in a horse's neck one more time. And oh my gosh, she just happened to mention that to one of my clients. So I've got these two clients that work at the same nursing home, and they, of course, made her dream come true and brought her to the barn. And it was so amazing. She was in a wheelchair, and her health was very poor. And she was able to come out like middle of winter, and then I think again in the spring, and then she passed not long after that. But it was so amazing. The first time she was out, I had brought her, we put her in the arena. I had some panels set up so like the horses that were in the arena couldn't reach the people. So she was sitting right behind the panels, and I opened up the back door of my arena and I ran the entire herd of horses in. And so they all come like running in and snow flying everywhere. And it was like this big dramatic entrance. And she was just like, she loved it. And then I brought out one that was really quiet, that I knew would be very calm around her. And yeah, she got to put her nose in that horse's neck. And then the next time she came out, we brought in like some of the smaller horses, so she could just really get her hands on them. And it was amazing. That was one of my favorite moments at doing what I do. It was just so cool. So I was super sad when she passed away, but it was just such a awesome experience for everybody that was involved. And then, so yeah, I've had other people who've had very, seriously traumatic experiences in their life, use horses. I've met so many people through that, where they use horses as their escape, sort of. So, but do I advertise that? No, but everything is kind of done privately anyway. So it just works out really, really good. And same with therapeutic riding, where there's physical disabilities. I've had a few riders that have done that too. And that's really wonderful. So Susie, thank you for asking that question. I really appreciate it. And then let's see. Oh, Kevin, thank you for mentioning that. He said there's a campground in Virginia, Temperanceville, Virginia, that gives horseback riding lessons for people who stay there on vacation. That's awesome. Michaela, that's just it. The barn is the place to get away from everyone. And a lot of times that's why I'm out when there's not a lot of people here, is because I need like a break. So Michaela's at my barn, so she understands. Oh, Jim, yes, I did get your email with the stories, and those totally are approved. And I think mine's worse. I really do think mine might be worse. Yeah. I can't wait to tell you. I cannot wait. So, let's see. I'm just reading comments. I love to read. Yes, Beck, midnight is the absolute best time. I don't know, midnight in the winter is sometimes pretty awesome too. Here's my favorite, my absolute favorite is, and I had this video that I shared on Facebook. It was in my memories from, I don't know, a few years ago. And I wanted to save it to my phone so I could share it with you guys. And I couldn't figure it out. So I'll find the video and I'll show you, but it's at night and I was walking bare from point A to point B on the property. Okay. There's just this time in the winter when the temperature is just right and the moisture level is just right, that when you're leading a horse and they're walking on the snow, it makes like a squeaky sound. So the whole time they're walking, it's a squeaky, squeaky, squeaky. It's just the coolest. It's the coolest sound ever. And I love it. And so I videoed that and I put that on there. But a lot of times at night, like when it's a little cooler, you hear that. And I just love it. So I spend a lot of time just listen when I can. I spend a lot of time just watching my herd eat and listening to them and going around and giving them all hugs. And it's just really great. And when you get a winter night that is clear sky and it's peaceful, oh my gosh, it's just wonderful, because there's no traffic. It's quiet. Everything's quiet. It's so wonderful. Let's see. Okay. Shaz, are you asking what we're talking about tonight? The topic for tonight's member live stream is like the grossest stuff. I don't even remember what I titled it. I already have the thumbnail done for it to show you guys. If you don't know what a thumbnail is, it's that little picture that's on the video title. Yeah, it's called, can you see this? The grossest experience ever. Oh, so gross. So gross. It took me like a year to get over it. It was bad. All right. So does anybody have any further questions? Oh, there was one more. Somebody had asked me about a gift. Somebody wants to send me a gift. I think it was Cheryl. And so she's asking me about a mailing address. Now, I will be opening, I've had a lot of requests for that. So I will be opening a P.O. box this week. I will have it this week. And so, I mean, I don't expect anything by any means, but if anybody wanted to send something, I will have a P.O. box that you can send it to. So, yeah, that was just it. Michaela, can I tell that? I won't tell like, okay, I'm totally telling your story. So Michaela the other day took a flop off her horse. This is how I decided to come up with the topic for tonight's video. Is Michaela and Tara were out riding the other day. Michaela was cantering bareback. Her horse spooked. She fell off. And so she's laying on the ground because I told her don't move because she had some pain in her hip. And so the best thing to do, like if you're hurting, you just lay there, you know. And a lot of people say, you know, get back on that horse quick. And I agree with getting back on the horse. But if something hurts, don't, because there's a good chance that you could even have another bad experience. So if you're in a position where you're like, you know, my body is really hurting me, don't. But definitely like get back at it again quickly. So that is something that I disagree with that a lot of people say. You know, they'll be like, if you're not going to the emergency room, you're back on your horse. No, don't do that. But anyway, so I have her just laying on the ground and she's laying there and she brought up a memory from the last time she fell off. And that's what sparked the disgusting story thing. So, and I refused to tell the girls the disgusting story and I'm saving it for tonight's video. So, all right. Anybody boy, we have a lot of members here today. Thank you guys all so much for joining. Gosh, and you got to listen to me talk again tonight even. Okay, so that is my secret for becoming a better rider. Now, I had said on the community page that I would share some exciting news with you. I will do an official video to announce this too, but since you guys are all here, I'm going to go ahead and tell you. Those of you who are not members already know this information, but those of you who are not members, I have decided to, or I adopted Nash. So Nash, that sweet little foster horse, that's why I really haven't shared anything with you about him because I have decided to adopt him. And so it's been a couple months now that he's been mine. So I'm really excited to show you all the things that I'm going to do with Nash. And he is absolutely a wonderful little horse. So I'm very excited. Okay. All right. So guys, thanks so much for joining. I really appreciate it. And I will see you. Oh, I think I'm going to do a live stream again. I can't do it next week, but I'm going to try to do, a weekly live stream with everybody because I think that it's a really good way for us all to stay connected and to cover topics that you want to hear about. Thanks so much for watching. I'll see you in the next one. Bye.